Beukes is a South African writer of science fiction whose works include not only novels but comics and an animated television series. But her latest book is a bit of a departure. It's called The Shining Girls. It's about a time-travelling serial killer and it's set in Chicago between 1931 and 1993. We came here to London's Forbidden Planet bookshop to meet the author. Beukes, I suppose if you're known for anything, it is science fiction set in South Africa. But this book is set in Chicago. Why?
I had the idea for a book about a time-traveling serial killer, and I knew that it would be set in the 20th century, and I was very interested in how the 20th century has shaped us. And if I had set that in South Africa, it would have immediately become an apartheid story, and that would have overwhelmed the entire story. It would have become front and center. And I wanted to explore bigger issues. I wanted to explore how the world has changed, how highways have reshaped cities, how women's rights have changed, how some things keep coming up again and again. You know, it's a book about time travel, and it's about those loops, but it's also about those loops of history.
Yes, because in some ways this is a sort of social history of America, particularly the role of women.
Absolutely. But that social history of the United States also extends to a social history of much of the Western world. You know, South Africa has a lot in common with Chicago. There are a lot of... We think we're special in this unique flower in South Africa, but actually a lot of the rest of the world has problems with corruption and racism and segregation and all kinds of things.
Now, your time-travelling serial killer moves between 1931 and 1993, and of course, although his modus operandi is very similar, he's extremely difficult to catch because nobody ever sees the links between crimes which are so widely separated in time. But why did you pick 1993 as the final date?
I stopped in 1993 because I specifically wanted to avoid the internet and cell phones. Kirby, the heroine who survives the attack by the serial killer, has got to try and piece together this impossible mystery. And one of the clues in that mystery is that he leaves anachronistic clues on the bodies. So, for example, there's a 1993 baseball card taken from one young woman that he's killed, left on a woman in 1943. And if that was to emerge today, a 1993 baseball card on a 1943 corpse, the internet would be all over that. And I think we've just seen that with the Boston killings. You know, how Reddit and Anonymous rallied to try and find out and uncover the identity of the suspects. The internet would have gone crazy. And they would have solved the case in 2 days. Between that and CCTV cameras, I wouldn't have had a novel. So I specifically ended it before then.
This is a book about a very violent man who does violent things. You don't really spare us the details. Why go full throttle in your descriptions of the murders?
I don't actually go full throttle. It might feel that way, but I was specifically interested in how crime fiction and the news depict women as just bodies. You know, it's the dead body, she's lying there in the pool of blood, one stiletto over there, her blonde hair pooling out. And that's really all we know about her. And that's all she becomes. She becomes a statistic. She becomes a catalogue of wounds. And I was interested in who they were beyond that. And I know it feels very violent, and the violence is written in a very real way. I want you to know what real violence is and what it does to people and how harrowing and horrible it is. Real violence is shocking, and I wanted to write it that way in the book, but it actually mostly just hangs on one or two details. You know, the whole chapter will actually be about the woman's life and why she was a shining girl and why she was remarkable in her time and what a tragic loss it is that this horrible, hideous man has come and cut that life short. It's not that typical crime thing where we're kind of riding along with the killer and it's quite gratuitous and it's almost maybe a bit sexy because we're complicit. I specifically try to avoid that. So it is shocking, and if you're very sensitive, you maybe shouldn't read it, but it's because I wanted to reflect the real world.
To what extent do you feel, as a South African writer, that South Africa is a rather limiting place and that really you need to be able to work on a larger canvas?
Look, I think you probably do need to work on a larger canvas. I don't know how much market there is for an unlimited number of South African stories. A lot of people reacted to my novel Zoo City, which won the Arthur C. Clarke Award, because it was set in South Africa, because it felt like an alien place while still having resonances with other cities. I didn't specifically strategically choose to write in America because it would be more commercial. I did it because I didn't want to write about apartheid, specifically for this book. But it did work out to be a much more commercial book. And I think, I'd like to be able to write about anywhere I want. And I think international artists do that.
Now, your publishers obviously think this is a very commercial book because they've done an unusual thing and they have commissioned a cinema-style trailer for it.
gave it to me when I was a little girl.
You shine. I need you.
He said it was to remember him by. He didn't mean me, obviously. The dead don't remember anything.
Shh. It's all
I
right.
approved the script, and the script is taken entirely from the book. And they sent me the cast photographs. They were just amazing to work with. I was very much involved with it. But it's also entirely theirs, and they've done the most beautiful job, and it really does feel like a film trailer. I've had people turn around and say, is it a movie? And not yet, but hopefully.
You're known for science fiction. This book, although it's not science fiction, has an element of the, I suppose, the supernatural about it. Why? Why not write straight realism?
I think if you play with a high concept like time travel or criminals with magical animals or setting it in kind of a near future, it allows you to play with ideas in a way that gets over people's issue fatigue. You know, we see so many horrendous things on the news every single day, and it's very, very easy to change the channel on that. And fiction, and in particular high concept where it's engaging and interesting and it's just distanced enough from the real world, it's just enough of a twist on the real world that it feels fresh and it feels different and it doesn't feel like the tired horrors that we endure every day, really allows you to explore that, and also allows you a way into the horror and to try and find some kind of empathy. I think stories really get you into someone's head, and it's a wonderful medium to explore that. "What are you doing?" he says, putting brightness in his voice. He crouches down beside her in the threadbare grass. Really, he's never seen a child with such crazy hair, like she got spun around in her own personal dust devil.
You're here at Forbidden Planet for a book signing, I think, meet the public. Who are your readers?
It's a range of people. It's actually really nice. I seem to have about equal male and female readers. I think there are people like me. I write with myself in mind. You know, I write books for me, and I hope that there are enough other people like me who will find them interesting.
And what do you want them to take away from your books, in particular this one?
I want people to have come along for an amazing ride, to have been captivated by an engaging, inventive, surprising story that also has something to say about who we are in the world right now. Of course, there are social messages that I'm really passionate about, including women's rights, including violence against women, including the way the 20th century has changed us. But that's secondary to the story, and I hope that'll leak through anyway.
Lauren Beukes, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.